getting blight in America. The boys and children, Sam and Maria, spend almost every Saturday with their grandma. Today, when the children and their father arrive at Grandma's house, they find her in her workshop. She is whittling on a chunk of wood. Hi, Grandma. What are you doing?
I'm carving something. Come take a look.
It's a bear.
Wow,
that's awesome.
It almost looks real.
The wood is kind of red. It's interesting. What is it?
Oh, this is interesting wood, all right. It has a history. In fact, it used to be part of my own grandma's old barn. But that is the most special thing about this wood. No, the most special thing about this wood is that it came from a chestnut tree.
What's so special about that?
Don't you know the story of the chestnut tree?
No.
Well, it's one of a big disaster. It's a terrible story. Are you sure you want to hear it?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, here goes. Way back when I was just a girl, chestnut trees were all through these hills. They were dead or dying, mind you, but they were still here. We'd go out and gather chestnuts by the sackful. Man, they were good eating. You had to wear gloves though, because each chestnut had a sharp, spiny case around it.
Was it really worth the trouble?
You bet it was, Sam. Those nuts were delicious.
Go on, Grandma, tell the story.
Way back when my dad was a boy, chestnut trees were big, healthy trees. They'd stand 100 feet tall or taller, and their branches were wide and shady. He said that there were so many chestnut trees that a squirrel could have made a run from Maine to Virginia without ever touching the ground. Mind you, I can't say if that's true, but I know there were lots and lots of chestnut trees back then.
What happened to them?
They got sick.
How could they get sick? How could a tree get sick?
Trees get sick about like we do, kids. Tiny little organisms get inside and cause damage. In this case, it's called blight.
Can't they just take some sort of medicine? That's what we do when we get sick.
Nobody knew how to stop the blight. They tried all kinds of things, of course, but none of them worked. The blight kept on spreading from tree to tree. As time passed, more and more of the trees died away. It really was sad.
Weren't there lots of other kinds of trees? Why did a lot of the chestnut tree die?
It mattered for quite a few reasons. First off, the chestnut tree was the most important tree of the forest. About 1/4 of all the trees in these woods were chestnut trees. So when they died away, they left an awful gap.
That must have been hard on lots of animals.
Why would the animals?
The animals cared because the chestnut tree was their grocery store. Birds on squirrels, bears on deer, all kinds of animals relied on the good old chestnut for food. It was full of protein and fat and all the nutrients that the animals needed.
I bet some of the animals lived in the trees too.
You'd win that bet, Sam. Why, those big old trees were regular apartment buildings for birds and squirrels and such. But also a lot of people were also pretty upset about losing the chestnut tree.
They wanted chestnuts to eat, didn't they?
That's right, people did miss the chestnuts. But that isn't all, not by a long shot.
Did the trees make good lumber?
The best. You see, chestnut wood was light but strong. The trees were straight and tall, and the trunks were big around. Some say they could fill a whole boxcar with the lumber from a single tree. And it made the best fence posts ever.
Why were the fence posts so good?
When you put a